We all love a good pylon, don't we? Great things to climb, that they are. Just don't touch the high tension cables, no. Okay, Starmer's been... Well, I've been telling everybody that either we have pylons, thousands, tens of thousands of pylons stretched across the UK and Norfolk. It should be its own place, really. It should be its own little island, really. Norfolk should, Well, maybe just Norwich, because there's too many Brexiters up north. North Norfolk. No, yeah, okay, just Norwich. But anyway, I think it's very short-sighted. You might think, how's that short-sighted? Investing in the future and what have you, Compulsory purchasing people's, giving pathetic compensation for sticking pylons on farmland, what have you. It won't be just farmland, they'll be going, across people's homes, mate, as well. They just have to, everywhere's so populated now. But I don't think it's the way. I think we could reduce the load on the national grid as it stands. I really do. Now here in France, things are a little bit different. Now, okay, we do have a lot more land here in France. It's 2.5 times larger than the United Kingdom is France. But it also means that you have to stretch these cables much further. Now, although there is still pylons here in France, much of the cables have actually been put underground. About 5-6 years ago, there was a massive campaign, it might be longer than that actually, where they were basically putting all the cables under the ground. And they put boxes, the little green sort of tyrolene boxes everywhere with all the junctions in. And then we just had the little overheads from there to go to the individual houses, the existing stuff. They just connected to those. But it considerably reduced the overhead cables, because where there's overhead cables, there's trees that pull them down, you see, creating more cost. Oh, but to be fair, okay, easier to repair than being underground. Now, Keir Starmer's trying to say that it's dearer to put them underground. I suppose it would be because of compensation. But you ain't going to try and tell me all these flipping steel pylons are cheap. Because they're not. And they're made of steel. And we just shut down today the steelworks. The last steelworks. Owned by Tata Steel. And in 2028, they say they're going to be, it's going to take 2 years to actually get the planning permission through, another 2 years to build it at least. So they say 2028, but it's probably going to be 2030 by the time it's done. These things, they get dragged on, don't they? Meanwhile, we're going to have to be importing the steel. This is nuts, because at the end of the day, what we're going to do, import the steel and just offshore our carbon footprint anyway. And it won't just be, okay, the carbon footprint as in the amount of carbon going into the atmosphere for what we're producing in the UK. There's also going to have to be transported in ships with bunker fuel from China or India. Probably India, actually, because they've just built a new blast furnace over there and they've got another 2 planned. Stupid. Stupid is as stupid does, How's that environmental? Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. And these electric arc furnaces, well, they can only basically melt down. They can't get hot enough, you see, so they only melt down recycled steel. Not virgin steel. There's much way of technical production, what have you, that requires virgin steel. You can't use recycled steel. I don't know why that is, but impurities or whatever, I don't know. So it's all going to be imported. All these pylons that Keir Starmer's talking about building across the country, all going to be imported. But I still believe it's the wrong way. We can reduce the load. We can reduce the load on the national grid. Now, I mentioned what we're doing in France about actually going underground, yeah? But that's not all they're doing here. Now, Keir Starmer's going on about onshore wind turbines and more massive solar farms and what have you, all owned with, by foreign contractors are going to be doing all this work. If somebody's got fingers in that pie somewhere, haven't they? So it's just nuts. Now, in France, we are locally producing energy. We have got quite a few solar farms here anyway, but also legislation was put through last year. I think it was about last June, July time last year, which is legal. It's a legal commitment that forces the supermarkets and what have you, where they've got car parking spaces over 80, to cover 50% with solar panels. And believe you me, well, if you've visited France recently and gone to any of the supermarkets, you will see many of them now have already been covering their supermarkets with solar panels. Okay, there's the ironwork, what have you, and then they've got the panels on top, but there's a double whammy, you see, keeps your car cool in the summer. We ain't got to worry quite so much when we take the dogs out and what have you. We can find shade. As long as the windows are open and what have you, obviously. Not too hot. We wouldn't do that to them, obviously not. But it's no-brainer. Your car doesn't heat up. Your dashboard doesn't, crack. And all the rubber coatings don't go all sticky and horrible inside. It's a no-brainer. But because of that, right, it's local supply. It enters the grid locally. There's no transportation of that energy to the other side of the flipping country. It's been used locally. It just enters the grid locally and supplies the grid locally, which puts less demand on the power stations. It's a no-brainer. So there's Keir Starmer wanting to take up all these fields and what have you, which I ain't got a huge problem with that, because it makes the soil go virgin over 20 odd years. You end up with all the microorganisms and what have, little biostructures. You effectively it's good for the soil. It's not bad, it's really good for the soil. These solar farms. But you might not think they look pretty, and you might think about farming, what have you, but farming is destroying the soil. All this intensive farming. Farmers are the worst, I'm sorry, but they are. Not all, obviously, but, that's a stereotype as far as I'm concerned, I suppose, in my mind. But it's many farmers, they have no regard whatsoever regarding the pesticides or the fertilisers or other chemicals they place, herbicides, pesticides, and other chemicals they place on their fields. No concern of the water courses that are adjacent to the fields, or the dikes and what have you. No concern whatsoever. No. It's anyway, I digressed a little bit there, didn't I? So the solar farms, as far as I'm concerned, are a good thing. But if you want to keep people a little bit happier about the whole idea, why not make the industry... If you haven't got the will or the ambition to force supermarkets to be building all these iron frames because you need the iron for your pylons, well, reduce the amount of iron you need anyway, because you'll be increasing local supply. Well, why not get the manufacturing factories to be putting these solar panels on the roofs? One of the biggest arrays of solar panels here in France is actually at Disney World, Paris. Massive. All the car parking there's all covered in solar panels. Why not industrial buildings? Why not warehouses? Now, if France could say, well, you're going to have to do this by this date, or you'll get fined, there's no reason why, really, that the UK government can't grow a pair and actually do the same. There was no mass protests for it. Everyone thought that's a brilliant idea. And in fact, the supermarkets thought it was a great idea because they're getting buyback tariffs and, with the volume of solar panels going up, they're coining it. So why is it that Keir Starmer, or the government, Ed Miliband, Environment Secretary, or was it the Energy Secretary, or whatever he's called, why isn't he pushing for that? Instead of taking up farmland, which we don't really have enough as it is if we won't have any food security in the UK. Wind turbines are a different kettle of fish because they're up there, Doesn't really matter. Then you got all the NIMBYs. I don't want that on my doorstep. Oh, it blocks the view, it does. I actually think they're actually beautiful things, I do. And I love what they stand for. They stand for, clean energy. Especially the new wooden turbines. And then you've got the vibration turbines as well. It's not really a turbine, but, there's lots of different systems that are coming into play now. Be even better if we were building them in the UK. Instead of, was it Norway or Denmark or something? Norway, I think it is. It's just crazy. We're just doing everything wrong. And Labour needs to be pulling their finger out, really, and actually going about it in a more practical and nuanced way and just think outside the box. Because if you're getting your advice from those who are likely to potentially benefit from it, and that was the industry, well then you know what they're going to tell you. They're going to do whatever they're going to tell you whatever they need to make more profit. Independence is what you need. And the UK needs independence. It's currently importing energy from the North Sea, from Norway, and it's currently importing energy across the Channel from France. About 10% of the UK's electricity comes from French power stations, nuclear power stations. If we're in a state of war, how would the UK manage? Without the support of, NATO, which could break up, in a war. People could pull out of it. Because they don't want to be drawn into war. How would the UK manage? I would say, not very well. Might have the technology, what have you, but where do they get the stuff from? Where do they get the components from? Where do they get the CPUs from? They don't make half that stuff. Now, during World War II, the old gunboats and what have you, with the old diagonal planked hulls, they had Italian engines, been supplied by Italy during the war, and they were German allies. So, I despair. I despair. I really do. And if you ask me what do you know about it, well, my house is run on solar. 70%, at least 70% of our electricity is solar. Plus we're doing solar hot water. Or energy, our water comes out of a well that we dug. Yeah, we were a bit yellow after digging that, I'll tell you, clay. But anyway, and also got the spring and that as well, so we are fairly energy efficient, but even we, it's not perfect. But much reduced demand. So stick the solar panels on the blooming roofs and reduce people's energy demand. Get factories to start reducing their energy demand or putting more back into the grid, and then you'll reduce the demand on the national grid. It's not rocket science, is it? It really isn't. But instead they want to put all these flipping pylons everywhere and more cables. Everywhere. Massive cost, which the only way they're going to get the money for this is actually through increasing the GDP. Increasing the national debt, sorry. Or foreign investment. That's not going to be good either. Like a PFI scheme. And you know what shit that did to the hospitals? So anyway, you tell me. Leave it in the comments down below. Please make the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. I know I digressed somewhat and waffled a bit, but you know, what me? Anyway, most kind, check out our rewilding project, because we're actually planting trees at the moment as well. So we are doing that kind of eco thing. And planting trees in the ground, but basically with support from you. And there's a GoFundMe link down below, and if you want to give us 20 quid, we'll put a tree in the ground for you, and or trees, even if you want to do multiples of, whatever. It's not a fixed price. You donate whatever you want. There's other costs as well, to be fair. But anyway, you'll put a tree in the ground, and I'll make a sign to go with the tree. It could be, just your name, or memory of a loved one, what have you, or pet, or birthday even. Maybe I'll give a tree for a birthday or a Christmas present. And we'll supply, if you ask for it, we'll just send a message. We'll supply you with a certificate as well, with names on and stuff to say the tree has been planted. So, anyway, you know what I mean. so you can gift it to someone, you know what I mean. Anyway, it's time for us to go, so I'm going to say toodaloo, so toodaloo.